Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another one of our fantastic vodcasts. Love a good vodcast.
Podcast is the thing.
Oh, it is the best.
We
And
need more
everyone
of
should
it.
start. We should get vodcast on a t-shirt. That's what we need to do.
Yes, on a tank top.
Well,
From
if that's
gym.
what if that's what you want to wear, and maybe a crop top tank top for you,
Ooh, I think I'd look good at
and just some
that.
little denim shorts with it as well.
I feel like you're just imagining me now in different clothing.
Well, yeah, to an extent,
whatever,
but
whatever
not in
floats
the
your
way
boat.
you're insinuating.
Well, who knows?
It's more just to mock you walking down the street.
You're
But
just fantasizing
today,
about me at this point.
stop it. Today we are back to another one of our franchise wars. Franchise
This is my
wars.
favorite.
I love franchise wars. It is brilliant.
This is our second one, am I right?
Yes, I mean, depending on the order I put them out, but I guess this will have to be our second one now.
Yeah, it'd be our second one. Yeah.
So this
Second.
is our second one officially now. We'll have to remember that this is the second one now.
I'll remind you.
Thank you.
That's
So,
all right.
Franchise
Teamwork.
Wars, love it. If you haven't seen it before, go back, watch any of our other Franchise Wars videos. This is where we take popular movie franchises, we pit them against each other, and we basically decide on a winner. Now, last time we put Lord of the Rings against Pirates of the Caribbean, didn't we?
Yeah, and Lord of the Rings won.
I'd say pretty securely won, although
Yeah.
you do have a secret passion for Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, I do. But Lord of the Rings won. It was the right one.
Yeah, I think there's not many complaints to come from that.
No.
This one is two juggernauts. So we are on to
Yeah.
two juggernauts this time, and I think there could be controversy here. This
All
will
right.
cause arguments. So
It
we
will
are
cause a
pitting.
war, which is basically the premise of this entire podcast.
That's all we've been trying to do on YouTube is Star Wars.
Star Wars.
That's all we want is conflict.
Well, Star Wars is a
Well, you
war as
have
well.
given away the goose a bit
I
here.
did. That's the first
It
one.
is Star Wars versus Marvel. These are juggernauts. These are
Yeah,
the
they're
big
massive.
franchises. Both Disney owned.
Excellent.
So Disney is killing the game.
Disney versus Disney.
Yes.
Although
So
none of this was originally Disney's, they bought the rights to both of these, correct?
yes, that's true.
Yeah, so I don't feel like Disney can take the credit for the
Because I
start.
think Disney bought the Marvel Universe either just before or just after the first Avengers movie was when Disney got it.
Yeah. So yeah, Disney has bought into the franchise, just like everyone else, I guess.
And with Star Wars, they only really bought it in for 7, 8, 9 and the spin-offs.
Well, yeah, but it all counts.
It does. It all counts in their bank account.
It does. Yeah.
And what a ridiculous bank account it is.
Yeah, they're doing quite well for themselves, to be honest.
They are.
Disney.
Now, how would you like to start our battle here? Would you like to start with direct comparisons, or would you like to talk about them individually and then compare?
Ooh, so many options. Well, should we talk about the history of each one? Because they all have a long history, both of these.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. So Star Wars is obviously George Lucas's brainchild, his sort of passion project here.
This is baby.
Yeah, it really is. And I think he did an excellent job with the original trilogy.
Yeah.
And that's something that grew unbelievable momentum that they never expected. Turned into a trilogy, which they actually didn't really expect. I think they originally just wanted it to be a one-off Star Wars good movie.
Oh, really? I thought the trilogy was always the plan.
Well, apparently not. Apparently the first one came out and that was going to be it and he was going to move on. Apparently he didn't really want to do another because there was so much stress and hassle went into making it. Because it was so difficult to do effects like that in those days.
In those days, yeah.
Because it was the 70s.
In that case, my question is, if they were planning to keep it just one, why did they call it episode 4? Or did they feel they needed more?
Originally, it was Star Wars.
Right.
So when it came out, it was Star Wars. That's it.
Oh.
And then they had the foresight when they thought we're going to do Empire. He had the foresight to say this is episode 4, because that's when they decided. Well, because they decided when they were making Empire that Darth Vader was going to be Luke's father.
Right, okay. So they had to
And
work a bit backwards.
it was going to be about the redemption of Anakin Skywalker, but that meant that it would have to be episode 4, and then the original trilogy would be the tale of Anakin Skywalker, even though they didn't do it for another 20 odd years.
I feel that's more than just foresight. If he looked at it and went, there's going to be a trilogy before we get to this one. So this one will be 4th, rather than saying this is the 2nd and there'll be one prequel to it.
If you talk about foresight, George Lucas had the foresight to retain all merchandising rights.
This kid has a lot of foresight.
And that is incredible. When you think about how many Star Wars products they created, the amount of merchandise, he made so much money off of the toys.
Yeah.
Toys made him an absolute fortune. I mean, he's rich no matter what, really.
Yeah.
Like, it has gone incredibly well. But it just became this like rolling stone that gathered more and more moss as it rolled. It just became bigger and bigger to the point where by the time Return of the Jedi was out, everyone was obsessed. So then
what was the gap between episode 6 and episode 1?
Right. So when was episode 6? It was early 80s, I think Return of the Jedi finished.
Yeah.
And episode 1 would have been 97?
Late 90s.
I think it was about 97. I don't know for certain. I don't have any facts. We should really research facts before we do this.
Oh, what's facts?
It's more a passion project. Yeah, there was a good gap of, I'd say, about mid-20s years between Return of the Jedi and Phantom Menace.
20. Somewhere between 10 and 20.
No, because if Jedi was early 80s and Phantom was late 90s. Oh, no, you're right. You are right.
It wouldn't be.
Yeah, no, you're right. Which actually is a much, much shorter gap than I expected.
Well, I feel it's still quite a large gap, though.
Because then you think when Revenge of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith was 2005? I think it was 2005.
Okay, so episode 6 came out 1983.
Oh, you've looked it up.
Yeah, so almost 20 years.
Yeah, so there we go.
That's still quite a big chunk.
Yeah, so that'd be about 15 years, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So anyway, there was a big gap actually between Revenge of the Sith and Force Awakens. That would be a good 10, 11 years.
Episode 1 came in 99.
99. Oh, yeah. There we go.
So 17 years.
We've got too hung up on the difference in years. We have wasted a ridiculous amount of time on something which really could not matter any less. I'm actually annoyed with you for bringing it up now, because it doesn't matter. I don't care when they came out. It's done exceptionally well. I feel like each trilogy has its own generation and its own set of fans.
I think that's quite interesting, because I think we discussed this, I don't know, some other recording at some point. For me, episode 1 is where I started, because when it came out, I was a kid, and that's what introduced me to it. And that's why I do like episode. I know a lot of people slated it because they hated the Jar Jar Binks stuff and all that nonsense.
I can appreciate parts of episode 1, like the Duel of the Fates, the lightsaber battle with Darth Maul is exceptional.
His double-ended lightsaber was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, it was so cool. It was the only criticism of him is he was just dangerously underutilized, because he could have been so much more. Well, people would have been happy to see him multiple times, wouldn't they?
No, I agree with you. It's just the way you said that. It was always you were talking about a child of yours. It could have been so much more.
A child of mine? I have no children, thank you.
No, I'm just saying the way you spoke about it. But you're right. I think they could have used Darth Maul, but they killed him off though. That's the problem.
They did. Although
back in the second one,
they brought him back on the Clone Wars TV series, and they brought him back in that Solo movie in a post-credit scene.
Oh,
he just randomly reappears. Yeah. But no, I think Star Wars has given itself the potential. It could go anywhere, because they can go to any planet with any environment, with any system. Yeah. It can, they have the potential to do anything.
Star Wars. Yeah.
Which is potentially why it's disappointing that all 3 trilogies are actually very similar. They follow the same sort of story beats.
Well, that's sort of to be expected.
Especially the original trilogy and the most recent trilogy, they do feel very parallel.
Hmm. But then the franchises tend to repeat themselves. They just kind of use the same sort of storyline.
They do.
Like we discussed this in the last franchise wars with Jurassic Park. We said that it was kind of repeating itself.
I was going to say we haven't done a franchise wars with Jurassic Park yet, but I think we might have
Oh, we
mentioned
haven't?
it. No, we
Oh, okay.
haven't.
In that case,
Oh,
we've
that was another one of our videos, which was movies that have resumed production, and we were talking about the Jurassic World series.
right. Thank you for that.
Very easy to get confused with all the videos we've been doing. But no,
So many films. So many films.
Star Wars really takes imagination, like the TIE fighter X-Wing battles, the spaceship battles, and lightsaber fighting. Lightsaber
Basically,
fighting
there's a lot of
is one of
fun
the
stuff
coolest
going
things.
on.
Yeah. It is young child's dream.
Yeah.
This
And I
sort
think
of
it's
stuff.
because you've got the good guys and the bad guys, but both the good guys and the bad guys are cool in their own way. So people kind of pick their
Yeah.
side, and there's like cool things going on. So it's
Well,
very.
I don't know how many people are picking the Sith.
I am. I always pick the bad guy.
That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me.
I'm always rooting for the bad guy.
But no, I do like the imagination in Star Wars, and the action is excellent.
Yeah.
But again, these are a lot of things which are quite similar with Marvel. Because if we transition over to Marvel now, obviously that's history is based in comic books.
Yes.
So there is
that has a long history as well.
Yeah, there's a deep, deep history because we're talking decades of comic books have gone into a lot of these characters.
Yeah.
Which is more than
so big. Some people are very invested in that history.
Yeah, because when you do a sort of like adaptation of a book or a novel, it's very, this is how it goes. There's not too much to deviate from. This is the story, this is it. Whereas with Marvel, they can pick and choose from different comic books, like, oh, that moment was cool from that one, that moment was cool from that one. We liked this overarching story, and we've got like 12 comic books in that story.
Their own storyline too.
Which they do as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
And what they also get from this massive collection of comic books is a number of different characters, which are pre-made, already have a lot of fans behind them.
You know what? I never considered that. They're just lifting characters from. They don't even have to put the hard work in. It's been done for them.
Because if you think the Star Wars movies, they have to create every character from scratch.
Yeah, but with Marvel, they just need to create the storyline or the action scene.
You know, we need a baddie for the third Spider-Man movie. Oh, look, he's got 15. You know.
Do you feel like they don't develop the baddies as well as they could?
I think the problem with the baddies in Marvel is they're easily disposable. So you can just say, oh, we'll use this baddie and then we'll get rid of them. We don't have to go back to them because we've got 6 new baddies that can go in.
If we compare it to Star Wars, I feel like they developed the baddies way better.
But
sometimes they do get rid of them, but because they're they've been around for a while.
In Darth Vader, you have probably the greatest movie villain of all time.
Absolutely.
But with Marvel, you get the variety of villains.
But that's what's the thing. If you have too much variety, after a while, the baddies sort of, like I said, we don't really remember the baddies.
You do have certain main ones, like Thanos will not be forgotten.
He was the greatest baddie. I loved him as well.
And he was good. Well, I find that his personality completely shifted from Infinity War to Endgame.
We did discuss this in the previous one. I remember you saying that.
Because obviously in Infinity War, you completely understand why he's doing everything.
Right, yeah. And then he kind of loses that in the second one.
Yeah, in the second one, it's because it's a Thanos from, I think it's 5 years previously, because obviously it's the Thanos from back in time.
Yeah.
Where he's a bit more abrupt and less thoughtful, and he's just, I'm just going to kill you for the sake of killing you, and I'm going to enjoy killing you.
Question.
Go on.
Is Spider-Man Marvel?
Spider-Man is Marvel.
Yeah, yes. I thought so. I just wanted to check. I really liked the Dr. Octopus, whatever his name was.
Right, so that's
a cool villain, and they should have developed him more.
Now, here's where we get into grey area. Because Dr. Octopus was in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, which do not fall under the Disney Marvel purview.
But I remember when I watched that film, I liked Dr. Octopus, and I liked that he was a flawed individual scientist. And I
Yes.
think that's a
So
really
what you
good place they
could
could have
say
taken
is you
that.
could say you wish you had him in the Marvel universe. I don't think we can
Yes.
count him in this.
Oh.
So I don't think we can count him at all in
This
this.
is where I feel like Marvel gets a bit convoluted, where it's like between different universes, different filmmakers, and then it's not necessarily in there. And then,
It is like that because obviously in the DC universe, we probably should have done Marvel versus DC. That would have caused arguments.
well,
Oh
let's leave
well,
that
never
argument for
mind.
another day.
There's no reason we can't come back to that.
It's
But
true.
anyway, in the DC universe, you've obviously got the Christopher Nolan Batmans as a standalone trilogy. You've then got Ben Affleck as Batman in Justice League and those ones.
Yeah.
And now they've got Robert Pattinson coming in as Batman. Plus, we had the four Batmans from the 80s and 90s, the Tim Burton Batmans, and then George Clooney as Batman. You know, Batman's been done to death, really, at this point.
Yeah. And I think that's where it falls down, where they do the character and bring it back in a different format, and it just gets too much. I think Marvel's, I guess, it depends where you fall on the fan
Marvel's
side of things.
teetering towards that. I think the Marvel universe could end quite happily now. But obviously, people want more because people will always want more of it. But
Yeah.
with Endgame, that would have been a very nice sort of like,
Ending. It's got the word end
yeah,
in
full
it.
stop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got the word end in it, so you might as well just stop there. You've done well.
Yeah. And then the Spider Man Far From Home was like a nice little post credit scene of a movie, really, to that
Yeah.
story. And I will watch the Marvels that come out in the future, but I also wouldn't have complained if they'd ended at that point. Because I do
I
feel like
just
a lot of our main characters have reached their conclusion.
I also feel like the Marvel storyline in each film is very repetitive.
It is. I mean,
It's
there's a
this,
formula to Marvel which
and
works.
yeah, that's the thing, and they keep churning it out. And it's
Yeah.
after a while you're like, okay, so what? I know the storyline. It's too predictable. That's why I did enjoy the first Thanos film.
I think it's about enjoying the unique differences with each hero. So if you see an Iron Man movie, it's going to be about his technology and based on his personality, whereas Thor's going to be in space and its power and thunder and lore. And
Mm,
then if you go into Doctor Strange, it's quite mystical and, you know, he is a wizard. And
yeah,
then Captain America's more like a Bourne-esque spy movie.
I like Captain America. I thought that was a good film.
They definitely improved him as it went on.
Yeah, but I think
But
that was a good one.
there is a lot of variety based on the different heroes in the Marvel, and then you get the spectacle when they all team up,
Yeah.
which is, I think, a variety that Star Wars lacks. Because Star Wars
Mm,
all bonds together as one big story.
I think that's the strength. It's
Well, it depends what you
two
look
powers
for.
in space that are looking to take over.
Because I also think
Um,
that might be why audiences are starting to get tired of it, because it is the same similar thing repeatedly.
well, that was my criticism of Marvel.
Well, Marvel's similar in terms of, you know,
I
there's
mean,
action, big set piece at the end, and there's jokes throughout, a lot of fighting, all that sort of stuff. But you could sort of say the same with Star Wars, you know, lightsaber battle, space battle,
yeah,
happy days. Whereas at least with Marvel, you get the variety of character, which you
yeah.
don't get in Star Wars.
I would just question the variety of character where it's almost to the point where they sort of all blend into the same. Like I get it, that one's spacey, one's technological, or whatever.
So
Um,
I think your argument with Marvel seems to be the volume of work
yeah,
churned out.
yeah. I think after a while, it's kind of merges in one big blob.
Whereas the other flip of that coin is the argument for Star Wars is the volume of the same sort of thing happening.
Yeah,
Although I really enjoyed Rogue One.
yeah.
I
So
thought,
did I, to be fair.
and what I loved about that was they allowed all your main characters to die, which I didn't think Disney would allow such a bleak ending, where
Yeah,
all the main characters die, and then you get that brilliant scene with Darth Vader in the hallway of that spaceship.
yeah.
That was something. I really enjoyed that.
I do like Darth Vader, to be fair.
Yeah, Darth Vader was very well done, and it was a chance to see Darth Vader in his full power, which he didn't really get back in the day with the original trilogy, just because they
No,
were limited in terms of what they were able to do. But that really was Darth Vader in full flow.
I think the one thing they both share, this is a criticism that they share, is they cling on to some of the characters for too long.
Yes, but in some cases that allows them to go to real depth. Because with Thor, you look at the first two Thor movies and the first Avengers, he hasn't hit his stride yet as a character.
No, he was still in
And
his
then you look
infancy.
at Thor Ragnarok and then Thor in Infinity War and Endgame. He's so much better for it. And he's really grown and developed as a character. So there are some where you say, like, has Captain America really changed that much?
I think Hulk is a good one.
Yeah, Hulk really developed as well. I would
think
say
he's got
Marvel
better.
develops them over time quite well.
Is it Marvel or is it the actor getting into it more?
I don't know. It's difficult to tell. Because they do, in fairness to Marvel, they do have growth throughout. You just see a lot of them. I think in the end, Robert Downey Jr. did about 9 different movies.
Yeah, I'm bored of him.
Well, I mean, he is gone now, so.
No, I'm still bored of him. He hasn't gone enough.
And he was better in the Marvel movies than he was when I saw him in Doolittle. Ugh.
Oh, God.
Again, to see my true feelings about Doolittle, check out my ups and downs video on the channel. I was not that kind about him, really, was I?
Yeah. Ripped into pieces.
Yeah, but in a way, actually, I didn't so much rip Robert Downey Jr. to pieces. I ripped that movie to pieces. The movie was a joke.
Yeah.
But it's a difficult one to gauge between Star Wars and Marvel.
So we've looked at the positives. We've looked at the negatives.
Yeah, negatives. Not even heavy negatives to these. There's a reason they are so successful.
And to be fair, the negatives are sort of similar on both. They sort of suffer from the same sort of.
Yeah, I think it's easier to pinpoint not poor quality, but low quality movies with Marvel. Like there are, I'd say, probably 2 or 3 Marvel movies where you go, that didn't really need to be made. That hasn't changed anything. I did not need to see that. I'm not coming out of it thinking that was brilliant. Whereas with the last, I was going to say in Star Wars, The Last Jedi is frustrating in parts. It has received a lot of criticism.
Are they planning another one?
I think it's inevitable. I think with Disney at the reins of Star Wars, there's no escaping it. They were going to do an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie with Ewan McGregor. I don't know what's happened to that.
And I like Ewan McGregor.
Yes, I thought Obi-Wan Kenobi was the best part of the prequels.
It's also a shame they killed off Liam Neeson's one. What's his name? What's his character called? Yeah, I mean, that's just because I like Liam Neeson, to be honest.
Well, there's a lot of talk about, because Qui-Gon was a very good character, and he was also a lot more perceptive than the rest of the Jedi. But they say that the reason that the music during that lightsaber fight with Darth Maul is Duel of the Fates is because that lightsaber fight, the duel, actually determines the fate of Anakin. Because if Qui-Gon had survived it, Aragon, we're not on Lord of the Rings anymore. Anakin wouldn't have turned to the dark side. He would have been under Qui-Gon's mentorship.
So it was the grief of...
Not so much that. It's more he didn't have someone like Qui-Gon, a really experienced, calm guy who wasn't completely strict on the Jedi Council's rules. Yeah. He could have, he would have looked after Anakin and put that arm around his shoulder that he needed, that Obi-Wan didn't do, because Obi-Wan treated him more like a brother.
Oh, Obi-Wan.
And then Anakin ended up getting that from Palpatine, who then led him to the dark side, whereas Qui-Gon could have given him that advice that would have kept him away from it. Yeah. So there's reckon that if Qui-Gon had survived it, he would have been the proper father figure and he would have kept Anakin good.
That is an interesting take on that, actually.
I quite like that theory.
I do like that. So, where do you think, or who do you think wins this battle? Who are you going to go for? I think I know who you're going to choose, just because you're a fan of it more.
Well, I'm a fan of both, and I really enjoy both. I actually very recently rewatched all the Star Wars. I went right through from 1 through to 9, including Rogue One.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
The whole thing?
The majority. There are moments which I think, that's not great.
In a franchise this large, it's going to happen.
Exactly. I get the same with Marvel as well. It's a difficult argument to make because they both smash the box office. Marvel smashes it a bit more.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult one. Which way are you leaning? I think you're leaning Star Wars.
Yeah, you're right. I am being so just because I feel like it's a more complete package. It's a more complete franchise.
But then again, you've seen all the Star Wars and you haven't seen all the Marvels.
No, a part of the reason why I haven't seen the Marvels is I'm not overly bothered to see the
Mm.
rest because I feel like I've seen enough of them to be like, oh, okay, well, it's just going to be more of the same, just a different hero.
Yeah, because I would say that
Um,
Marvel managed to tie in all their movies and plot points very well. Whereas
but
there
that's the
are
thing.
moments
If
in Star
you,
Wars that are pretty pointless and don't really mesh well together. Like the most recent trilogy of Star Wars, they went into it without a complete plan, and it does show.
hmm,
Because they go from who are Ray's parents, big mystery, to your parents were nothing, it doesn't actually matter, to actually it does matter because you're Palpatine's granddaughter. So there was no clear thought through plan there.
yeah, they sort of just muddled through it.
Whereas Marvel, they're very clear tactics, like 10 years in advance and through points, and this will
The
lead to
other
that, and
thing
that
I
will lead to
would
that.
add to this is I think the Star Wars franchise will age better than the Marvel. I think if you look back on this in 10, 20 years' time, I think Star Wars will still have a better hold than Marvel.
I'm not sure. I reckon Marvel might have overtaken it. I think I'm leaning Marvel's way,
I'm going Star Wars. I'll fight you on
which gives us an interesting position here is how do we pick a winner?
it. Do we need to call a third non?
No, we need a winner. It's the whole point in
Oh,
the war. You can't have a war with no
oh,
victor.
I don't know. Or we could pit each of these against the same opponent and see who comes out.
No, we need a winner here. No, with Marvel, you've got the quantity. Like there really is a quantity, and it's come together. I think Marvel has more of a future in front of it than Star Wars does.
But that's nice though. It's nice to have that ending that's sort of wrapping it up.
It is nice to have an ending, but I don't think we can think for a second that it's ended. And I think we've also ignored the sort of like unwanted love child, which is Solo,
Mm.
which is still
And
technically part of the Star Wars franchise.
in that case, if they're going to bring out a Solo, can't they bring out a Darth Maul one?
Well,
Like
next
his
is
rise to being
next is
part of the dark side.
Obi-Wan, and I think Darth Maul's going to feature in the Obi-Wan movie.
Amazing.
But yeah, I got to give it to Marvel. I do.
Now, I'll give you one more reason why I think Star Wars.
You won't let it go, will you?
No, I was just going to add this in and then you can decide. I think Star Wars because, like I said, they've done a great job of developing both the goodies and the baddies. The balance is better there. With Marvel, it's too much of the good guys and they sort of forget about the bad guys. They're just kind of indispensable.
Well, I
Not
think with
important
Marvel,
to the
you've
story.
gone for the good guys, haven't you? But then when they've put in a statement villain, like in the Avengers, they had Loki or Thanos, there is a lot to them.
Hmm.
So Loki had that almost Anakin-like quality of
I did like Loki though.
falling from grace.
I quite liked him.
But whereas when you're just doing a movie for, Iron Man 2 or Iron Man 3, the villains serve their purpose without having to impact the franchise too much.
Hmm.
Plus, I don't like how in three separate trilogies, Star Wars has had to keep going back to Palpatine.
But
Because Marvel Thanos was a brilliant villain, but they've done him and they've left him, and I don't see him coming back.
also, with Marvel, you've got a bunch of characters from different universes thrown in together.
Yes.
At least Star Wars is all in one universe.
But that's half the beauty is the way they managed to bring all of them together.
Always the half the ugliness.
You won't let it go. Right. I think we've reached the point. We've reached a bit of an impasse in our conversation here. We could let the comments decide it.
Oh yes, we could actually. The viewers can decide who they think is the winner.
So we're going to have people coming
Although
in
I
and
suspect
picking
that
out a winner for us.
that may not clear it up either.
No, but we'll let them have the conflict which we so desperately want.
True.
I
Yeah.
think
Well,
what I'll do
viewers can decide.
is we'll put it on viewers decide. If we end up doing a sort of championship knockout,
Yeah, we'll bring them back and just
yeah,
do like
this
a
might be a
three-way
to be
between.
continued.
Yeah. Oh yeah. True.
Or we could even put both of them through to the next round if we do it that way. But for
Or we can do a
now,
three-way. We can do a three-way. We have these two plus an extra one.
yes, but I'm talking about the videos.
Oh, right, okay. Sorry. Let me just slowly back out of the room.
But yes, we'll let the viewers decide. Right, viewers, you have your moment here. It is your chance to decide on a victor between Star Wars and Marvel's.
Yeah, just comment Star Wars and Marvel for which one you want.
Yeah, and if you feel like leaving a reason, if you feel like starting an argument, feel free.
Go for it. That's what the YouTube
we will
comments are for.
encourage, but a healthy argument. Don't just insult people's mums.
A classic.
Excellent. Right. I think we've been able to back out of it quite nicely there.
Yeah,
Please feel free to comment and like and subscribe to let us know that you enjoy what we're doing. And let us know your thoughts.
Franchise war.
Let us know your thoughts and feelings. I love franchise wars. We get into this.
It's fun.
Right. Until next time.
See you later.
Goodbye.
Bye.